If you're like me, you always appreciate a really good heist book, and if you're also like me, you love historical fantasy. So, what could be better than a historical fantasy heist book? Well, today I'm going to give you 5 good reasons to get involved with The Gilded Wolves by Roshani Chokshi. Okay, let's dive in. The Gilded Wolves is an awesome historical fantasy book meets heist book by Roshani Chokshi. So when I started reading this book, it reminded me a little bit of all the adventure and fun of a book I read as a child called Mara, Daughter of the Nile. I have no idea if that book is good or not by my standards of today. I read it, I think, when I was in like 6th grade or something. But The Gilded Wolves brought back a portion of that excitement for me. Mara, Daughter of the Nile was about espionage in Egypt, and it kind of kicked off my imagination to say, wow, I didn't know books could be cool like this. Learning that books could be really fun and really exciting and have you just by the collar of your throat wondering kind of what's happening next. If you're into that type of stuff, I think you're really going to like this book. And I've got 5 reasons why. Reason number 1, use of the setting. In every historical fantasy, this is a big standard for me on how people actually use the time period and the location to their advantage in telling the story. Well, not only are we set in one of my favorite time periods, 1889 for this book, and you all know I love the late 1880s, that's when I set my book, The Crimson Inkwell. But she also sets the book in an interesting kind of place and scenario, right? We're in Paris, we're at the Exposition Universelle. Exposition Universelle. Did that sound French? Was that? And not only do we just have that around to play with as far as exciting influences on the story itself, it actually even helps inspire the magic system at play in this book. So I think that she does a fabulous job taking the setting and having it inform the characters really well, the magic system, the plot itself, and kind of all the character motives informing the social hierarchies and everything of the time. So if you're into late 1800s Paris and French and just aristocracy and all that kind of hobnobbing to try to make your status better, then you're going to be all up for this. 2, the magic system in this is very interesting. It's not really steampunk. It's not like diesel punk. Is it goldsmith punk? Is that a thing? I think, yeah, goldsmith punk. Basically, the magic system in this world revolves around this idea of forging. It reminds me a little bit of the popular kind of like almost gnomish type of stuff. If you're really into other fantasy stories, it's this idea that the magic are kind of created like trinkets, almost like inventors, almost like Belle's father from Beauty and the Beast, like stuff he would work on plus magic, which is I think it's really cool. Because of that, the magic system kind of requires all this like pseudo-engineering style reasoning as they're building stuff, and you walk away from the book wanting all of the trinkets that they were working with in your house, on your person, in your jewelry box. All that. 3, this is a heist book, and I love heist stories. Why do I love heist books? Because it requires really detailed planning, and there's always a lot at stake for the individuals involved in the heist. But I also like them paired up with fantasy books, because I think so often in fantasy books it comes down to like the fate of the universe is on the shoulders of the protagonist, and sometimes when you read a lot of them back to back, it just gets to be a bit much. Or like, well, I mean, the fate of the universe was just in jeopardy. Could we just relax for a second? Can't it just be important to this person? Instead, what we have are a lot of people, a core group of heroes, a core group of thieves who have a lot to gain, but we're not talking necessarily just about world domination or something like that. Also, because it's a heist book, a lot of the plot points come at you very quick, and so the pacing stays up pretty high, which is also really fun. 4, rival houses. What is more fun than rival houses? This connects a little bit to the way that Roshani uses her setting. But what could be better than hearkening back to this like Romeo and Juliet, Montague Capulet situation? I mean, that's Verona, Italy. This is Paris, France. I get that. But this idea that you have these powerful houses, you have these exclusive social workings, and they're all kind of vying for power one against another. That makes for some really great mechanics, especially in a book like a heist book where you have some thieves walking around making mischief, because you could put these houses against each other, you can try to manipulate, you make allies, you never know who's good guys, who's bad guys. Lots of fun mix-ups. And finally, 5, I think the love interest in this book, much like the heist objective, is lovely and understated. Sometimes it's nice not to have a huge fantasy, the whole world is going to end type of stakes. And likewise, you have this kind of will they, won't they, tease back and forth type of thing between the two main love interests. And you never feel like it just is falling into that stereotype romance formula. You know that whatever is going to happen, it's going to be something uniquely their own, and that makes it really great. They both have really strong ideas about the way life should be, and getting them to compromise those ideals is going to take an awful lot. And so for that reason, I felt that it was nice, it felt grounded, and when you have a fantasy book, I think it's nice to keep the romance grounded, because you're already getting lofty, bending physics and like life as we know it in the actual fantasy. So why bother inflating the romance as well? Anyway, if you read the book, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you thought. There seems to be like a pretty good fan base around this. Lots of cool fan art and stuff out there. So I'm looking to hook up with some other Gilded Wolves out there. Hope you found this helpful. I'm going to go work on my draft, and I will talk to you soon. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on some other ones. We got some other great book recommendations for you, as well as just some bookish fun stuff. So I will see you soon. Bye.